Hello and welcome. Last time we made our dragon move around and shoot. I also noticed there is a bug. If I attack him on melee range, I can't move until I attack again. So we'll fix that now. Also, another thing I noticed is our player can walk through these walls. So basically our collision doesn't work. There's an easy fix for this. Don't worry. Let's first fix the thing where the player, if he attacks the dragon, he can't move. That's because in our dragon script, when we get the sword collision, we set the player's attack to be true, but we don't set his can move to be true. So let's do that. Let's find game object with tag player and get component the player script and set can move to be true. Now if we save and go back, now if I run, if I take damage and attack him, I can move. I'm not locked into position. Okay, so now let's fix the bug where we can walk through walls. This is caused because how our code set up. For moving, we use transform translate, which is this. So basically translate this transform, and when you set up movement like that, if you don't have a rigid body, your box collider doesn't really work. So let's add a rigid body 2D to our player. Oops. Rigid body 2D. Be sure to disable gravity scale and set freeze rotation on DZ to be true. Now if we run, you'll see I can now collide with these walls. Okay, great. Now I want to start creating some environments. So let's go ahead and in our sprites folder import a new asset. We'll import this environment PNG that we made for you guys. Be sure to set the sprite mode to be multiple. Apply this change. Open the sprite editor and slice these sprites. Apply that. Now I want to delete these previous boundaries I had. Oops, I deleted the canvas, this and that. Okay, we have some trees here, grass and things like that. What I'm going to do to make this look pretty, I'm going to drop these grass sprites, but of course we have to be in our scene view. So let's drop them in the scene. I'm going to call it grass. And I'm just going to duplicate this grass and have a lot of these in our scene. Okay, now I will group these together so they don't take too much space in our hierarchy. Now if we go to our game view, this doesn't look too good because this grass is a different color from the background. Just select our camera and here in the background color, click this icon here and click on the grass. Sorry, I didn't do it good enough. Let me just zoom in here, make it easier. And there we go, now it looks much better. Now I'm going to duplicate this grass parent and I can move it like that. And now I can take both of these and duplicate them as well. Let's see. You should always take your time when creating levels. Put on some nice music that you enjoy and just enjoy the process of creating a level. I think this is enough. Yeah, we have this nice grass and it feels... Actually, let's add more of these and fill up the space up here. Okay, and also I will select all of them and make sure they are child of this grass game object. So now I could move all of these at once. Now our game looks much better. We can move around in this scene and things are much prettier. But you notice that this dragon is walking under the grass. That's because the order in layer of the grass is 0 and the order in layer of the dragon is blue dragon. Let me just find him. Enemies. Yeah, blue dragon, here he is. Order in layer is 0. Let's set it to 2. Let's create a prefab out of him. And make sure that our crabs are also order in layer 2. Same as the player. Now if I run the game, everything should be fine. He walks on top of the grass. Okay, great. Also our bullet, enemy bullet, where is it? Enemy projectile. Set its order in layer to be 2 as well. Okay. And also another thing I want to show you is, well, we can make a game object from this grass. We should do that. Let's go to prefabs and I will create a folder called environment prefabs. Create a game object of this grass. And now we can always drop it into the scene and just move it around. We don't have to create them one by one and then duplicate them. We just drop it into the scene. And I also want to create some trees. So let's find a tree. Let's say this one. Drop it in here. It's currently too small, so let's increase the size. Also, the order in layer should be, let's say, 5. So it's above the player and the dragon. Let's move it a bit to the right. Actually go to the scene view and move it kind of like here. And now I want to add a box collider to this object. And I'm going to show you a nice little trick here. If I edit the box collider and kind of like do it like this will get a nice effect of the player will be able to walk behind the tree, which will look really good. So let me show you. See, I can walk behind the tree and I can stand in front, but you see how we draw under the tree because it's a layer above us. So let's just get the collider and fix that. There we go. Also, a thing you can do is, instead of using box collider, you could use maybe a edge collider 2D. And if I remove the box collider, the edge collider, if we edit it, we can specify exactly what we want to collide. This is just a bit tricky to use actually. That, and you can get really precise collision with the edge collider. Now if I save that and play the game, I'm able to walk behind, and also I collide nicely here. Let's call this game object 3, and let's save it in our prefabs folder, in our environment prefabs. So now we can always place it into the scene and it will have a nice collision setup already for us. And also, for in this lecture, what we will do is get this and also, let me find the other one, another one, this one. Just move them on the X. This will kind of serve like our walls. So we will start in this environment, nature, and then go into a dungeon. So let's see, this is the horizontal one, so let's say horizontal fence, and this one is a vertical fence, and just add a box collider 2D to both of these. Oops. add a box cloud 2D to this one. And make sure to save them in our environment prefabs, both of them. So in the next lecture we will be creating our first level. So until then, see you. Hello and welcome back. So this lecture won't have any coding. We'll be creating our first level. So it's going to be really relaxing. So we have these vertical fences and these trees, and here in our prefabs folder I will make sure to set the tag for these objects to be wall, because how we wrote it in our enemy code is when they hit an object that has the wall tag, they will change direction. That's exactly what we want. So let's go ahead and let's move our scene view down below, so we can, when we move these objects, actually see better in our game view how they look. Also, instead of changing the layer of each object, we can just set the layer of the grass to be -5. Let's move this fence now. I forgot to apply this. Actually, yeah, let's set these game objects to be 2 as well. These fences. Okay. Let's kind of create a introduction level to our game. Usually in games, the first level is always going to be kind of the easiest. That's where you introduce the player to your game. So we want to make sure that our first level is going to be really easy. Let's get this horizontal fence and duplicate it, then move it next to this one, and duplicate both of these and move them kind of like this. I'll now create a parent of the horizontal fence, so now I can duplicate this parent and move these guys together. Set them next to this tree, maybe like this. Okay, let's duplicate this again. Put it maybe here. And duplicate that again. Okay, great. Make sure that these are all... I like to have them all in one parent. So if I were to move this, all of them would move. Now I'm going to select this one from the parent, duplicate it, and move it up. I kind of want this to have multiple paths you can choose to go. You know how Legend of Zelda, the first one, is, well, all of them are in some way a open world game, so you can explore and go wherever you want. We'll do the same thing here. So you'll be able to go down, up, or left, depending on, well, wherever you want to go. Let's now create these vertical fences. I will duplicate this fence and get it here to create a nice little path for us. Like that. Duplicate it. And duplicate again. Okay. Let's now duplicate these 3 together. Okay. Let's duplicate, actually, let's add these to a parent of the fences. And now if I duplicate this parent, I can drag them up. And this conveniently increased my, my level creation time. And also let's just add another horizontal fence here. And another vertical fence there. If I could. There. Okay. Let me just move this guy a bit. Well, delete that. Move this one. Okay, that seems good enough. Now if I was to run the game, we collide with these things, and now also this enemy walks around. Let's move this scene back up, the scene view back up, so we're just in our game view. And a thing, let's create a empty game object, call it level assets, and let's just place every environmental asset under this game object. Okay. Also this tree and these fences. Usually in games, the first level is there to introduce you to the game. So let's delete our blue dragon. I think he's a really tough enemy for this stage of the game. And let's add, I think the blue crab is the easiest crab. So let's add a blue crab. Let's add 2 blue crabs. So this one there, and I'll move this one maybe up here. So now when the game starts, these crabs will walk around. But we do have a problem with this. Basically, these crabs can now walk out of the level, out of the boundaries, and that guy somehow glitched through that. We can fix that easily by creating a collider here and giving it a tag of wall. So when they hit it, they will walk down. So let's do just that. I will create a 2D sprite and just assign a placeholder sprite for now. This should work just fine, this background. Add a box collider 2D and increase the size of this object by maybe, let's increase it to 10. And now make sure to set the tag to be wall. And let's just disable the sprite renderer. We can call this boundary top. And let's duplicate it and move it down. Okay. Let's call this one boundary bottom. And duplicate it again. Rotate it here. Let's just set 90 degrees and increase the size here to maybe 20. And let's increase the Y collider. Call this one boundary right. And I didn't rename this one. Boundary bottom. And all these have a wall tag, and now our crabs shouldn't be able to walk off the scene. But now you might be thinking, well, okay, the crabs can't walk off the level, but neither can we. So if I go with our player, I just collide here. Well, this is okay because later we will create scene transitioning. So when we collide with this, we will actually load a new level. And you see we have this bug here when they keep going down. We'll fix that easily in the next lecture. So see you then. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Hello and welcome back. Our game is going great, but sometimes these guys tend to chew on the walls for too long. So let's fix that. Open up our crab script, and you can see here when we collide with a wall, we just randomize the direction, but there is a chance, a 25% chance to get the same number, the same direction. So another way we can go about doing that is just saying direction minus minus. This will basically decrease the direction, and we can say if direction is less than 0, we just set it back to 3. Okay. So basically for movement we have 0, which is up, 1 which is left, 2 which is down, and 3 which is right. So when we collide, we subtract direction by 1, and check to see if it's less than 0. If it is less than 0, then we don't have any animation and direction to walk in, so we just set it back to 3. Okay, let's save this. Also, I will go up and save the timer, change the timer from 1.5 seconds to just 1 second, and go back into Unity. I will now click on the blue crab and scroll down to the rigid body 2D component and set collision detection to be continuous. And also apply this, since we made the change on the game object and not on the prefab. Now we have to apply to make the change to every blue crab. Now if we play the game, we should see less of this. They still true on the wall, but see, in this case he wants to go up and right, but he can't go up because we also have a wall there. Let's kill these guys. Today I want to create another level where I will have a power-up. So basically when you pick it up, it's going to increase your maximum health. So let's save this scene. And I will create a game object of these fences. Well, let's see. I only want these vertical fences. So let's grab those and put them in our environment. I will call it vertical fence group. Actually, let's take the whole level and put it inside. Call it level 1 assets. Now I will save the scene and then create a new scene. Okay, this is our new scene. If we go ahead and save this scene, it's going to ask us what to call it. So I will call it a scene down. And now in this scene, I'm going to go to my prefabs, environment prefabs, and plug in my previous level. You can see we already have this level here. Let's just select the main camera and change the background color so we have this nice grass. And I'm going to delete these trees, since I don't want this level to be the same. I just wanted to have, since we're going to walk down, I want the player to come from the same direction here. So I'm going to put him in there. Go to prefabs, and we forgot to create a player prefab, so let's go ahead and go back to our main level, save this scene, and create a prefab from our player. Just drag him down. Also I will delete him here and put him, let's move him a bit to the right. Let's say this is his starting position in this level. So when the game starts, the player starts here. Okay, save this scene. And now I'm going to open up this scene. And let's get our player from the prefabs folder and put him in here. Also move him. Let's say that he starts from here, so he comes down. Okay, awesome. Now let's change this level a bit. I'm going to delete this fence, and this one as well, and that one. And I'm going to see if I can find these horizontal fence. Okay, let's move them up. Move this one up as well. These we can move down. Select them, move them down. These guys as well. And let's copy one of these and paste them here. Do the same thing again. I want this area to be kind of closed. You just get in here and get your power up after you fight a enemy. Okay, this one doesn't look good, so let's delete that. Okay, this is looking nice. Just move this one up above. Okay, let's Move these guys down a bit. Okay, that looks fine enough. And I'm going to add some new assets here. I'm going to add a few new environment sprites. I'm going to add this grass. Let me just drop this down. And add some of these grass sprites. Add a box color 2D to them. And just set the layer of the grass to be maybe 2. Grass. Let's save this prefab in our environments prefab. And now in our level we can just simply drop this grass here. And let's get a tree here, so the scene doesn't look lonely. Okay, also I want to close off this path down here, so I'm going to take these fences and put them here. Yeah, I guess that's good enough. So I'm going to place a power up here, and let's first put a few enemies here. I'm gonna get our blue dragon. He's going to be protecting this item. And let's have a orange crab and a green crab. So these guys will work right off the bat. Let me just select this grass and put it inside of the level assets, so everything is nice and organized. Okay, and now let's go to our sprites folder and import a new asset. Let me just go to my desktop, RPG course, and import this potion. So this potion, basically, if I drop into the scene, let me just increase maybe the size. No, that's too big. Let's set it to 1. I'm going to have a box collider 2D. I'm going to set this to trigger, and I'm going to create a script that when the player collides with this potion, so basically when he picks it up, I'm going to increase his maximum health. So go to our scripts folder and create a new script. Actually, we don't need to create a script, we can just modify our player script. If we go to our potion and set the tag to be, let's create a new tag called potion, and now set the tag to be potion. Okay, if I go back to my player script, on trigger enter, if I say if collision.gameObject.tag is equal to potion, what I want to do is get my maximum health, increase it by 1, also set my current health to be equal to my maximum health. If you remember, in Legend of Zelda, when you beat a boss, you get a heart container upgrade, so basically you get more health, and also you get healed up. Your current health gets equal to your maximum health. So that's what we do here. Also, I want to then destroy the potion. So destroy collision.gameObject, and there we go. So now I'm going to test this. If I run my game, I have a few errors here. That's because my player, actually let's see, we don't have our canvas. We forgot to create a prefab of the canvas, so let's save this scene, save scene, and go back to our main scene, get our canvas, create a prefab from the canvas. And now we can just go back to our scene, other scene, and plug in our canvas. Here we should have our hearts. There we go. Now we just have to get to our player and plug those hearts into this array. Let's just log the player inspector and select these hearts and drop them in here. You see now the size was 5, and I dropped these hearts, and it thought that I wanted to increase the array size, so it created 5 new images. We don't want that, so let's set the heart size to be 0, and again drag these hearts into the array to populate it. There we go. Now it should be working just fine. If I run the game, we have 2 health, and if I pick this up, we have 3 health. Again, if we shoot out our sword. If we get damaged, we do a melee attack. So thank you for watching this lecture, and see you in the next one. Hello and welcome. Last time we created this scene and added this potion here. So let's continue by unlocking the player inspector. I'm going to create a prefab from this potion, and basically now you can add it in whatever scene you want. So if I add like 5 of these potions into this game, it can give me health, but there is a problem. What if we had like 1 million of these potions? And so basically the player would then be able to receive a million health, but we do have only 5 hearts. That's one problem. Also, our enemies sometimes hug the wall too much, and when they walk, they hit the subject and they continue walking because they don't know if it's a wall or not. Those things we will all be fixing in this lecture. And another thing is, sometimes in our player, when we have our current health equal to max health and we attack, we increase our thrust power to shoot the sword, but we never reset it. So we can get in a awkward position where the player's thrust power is 500 even though we're in melee range. So let's set it back to be, I believe it's 250 in our, yeah, in here. Okay, and now when we pick up a potion, we're going to check if max health is greater than, if it's equal to 5, we're going to return, because you can't have more than max health. Sorry, you can't say this. We have to go, whoops. This means if max health is equal to 5, but if we set a exclamation point, it's max health if it's not equal to 5. What am I doing? We can't do it like that, man. We have to say greater than or equal to 5. Then we return. Okay, this should work. So let's pick up these potions and let's create, I don't know, maybe a lot of them. Okay, this should be enough to give us more health than we need. So we have 3, 4, 5, and we pick up, and we can't pick up these potions. That's okay, depending on what type of game you want. Maybe this is kind of more forgiving. In other games you would pick it up, you would destroy it and get no health, but now if I take damage, I can get back to here and heal up. Actually I can't for some reason. Ah yeah, because they increase our max health. Well, we could create them to increase our current health each time we pick them up, which we can do. So let's say current health equals to max health. So this will make sure that they heal us up first. Let me demonstrate you that. I get max health, can't pick them up anymore, I get damaged, I pick this up and I get a heart, but it's still here. So we want to destroy it. So basically we want to do all of this before we check that. This we already have done. This only should prevent us from getting more health if we have the max health reached, but it should always heal our guy and destroy the potion. That should work just fine. Now if I get max health, here we go, I get damaged, I can pick this up, get healed, and it's removed. Okay, great. Another thing I noticed is that our sword is drawn under these green grass tiles. So let's go to sprites, find our sword, prefabs, and get our sword. Set the order and layer to be, it's 5. Why is it drawn under then? Maybe I just didn't see it properly. I didn't see it properly. Oh, the particles are drawn under it. Oh, okay. Don't worry, we'll fix that easily. But for now, let's go to environment part, prefabs, and get this grass. I mean this one. Let's call it bush. And we can maybe disable the box collider, because I don't want anything to collide with this. I just want it to be there for aesthetic reasons. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So those are the quick fixes, and let's delete these potions. And basically this level, what I want it to be is, this game will be an open world game like Legend of Zelda. You can basically instantly go to our final boss, but you only have 2 health, so these are kind of like mini challenges. If you go down here, you get the potion, your health increases, and then you go back and fight the boss. So next time we will be polishing up our particles, and I will import new sprites for particles so they look much better. Currently, they aren't really looking like they belong in this game. So thank you for watching, and we'll continue in the next lecture. Hello and welcome. Today I want to do some polishing. Mainly I want to add better particles, and also I want to fix these enemy behaviors, because sometimes they behave really dumb. For example, there when he's trying to go through the wall, but he obviously can, and that crab as well there. So let's start off by fixing the enemy behavior. Open up our script and let's go to our crab. Here we check if the crab collides with a wall, and then we change the direction. But I want to be more precise now. I want to say if direction is equal to 0. Basically the crab's 0 is up, I believe. Let's check it out. So yes, the crab 0 is up, and down is 3. So if we hit something and we're going up, I want to set the direction to be 3. So basically if we're going up, we will be going down when we hit something. Else if direction is equal to 1, I will set it to be, it's 2 equal signs. I will set it to be, come on man, set it to be 2. Else if direction is equal to 2, I will set it to be 1. And else if direction is equal to 3, we will set it to be 0. There's still a problem with how this is set up. For example, if we hit something, it's gonna, if we're walking up, when we hit the wall, it's gonna set direction to 3, but then it will also, because this executes really fast, it will check this as well. So we're just going to be looping through these 2 directions. So let's create a boolean. We can call this change, not boolean, a float, a change timer. And we also need a boolean. Let's set this change timer to be maybe 0.2 seconds, and we need a boolean called should change maybe. And when the game starts, we can set should change to be false, and then when we hit a wall, we say should change is true. Actually, first let's do this code here. Let's change the direction, and then we set should change to be true. And also, if should change is true, I want to return this code, so I don't want anything to execute. And in our update method, I will say if should change is true, we will say change timer minus equal time.delta time, and if change timer is less than or equal to 0, we will set should change to be false. And also we want another thing to do here. Shouldn't change is false, and we're going to set the change timer back to 0.2 seconds. Okay, so our crab is done, and this should be working perfectly. Let's go now back to our dragon. Here we have our wall collision, and here instead of direction we set there. So let's say if there is equal to 0, and I think we have different directions for the dragon. So let's see. I think, yeah, he's exactly as the players, where 0 is up, left is 1, down is 2, and right is 3. So let's go ahead and say if direction is equal to 0, this is up. We will say direction becomes down, which is 2, and else if direction is equal to 1, which is left, we say direction is equal becomes 3. Else if direction is equal to 2, direction becomes 2 is down, so direction becomes 1, up. And else if direction is equal to 3, direction becomes 1. Okay, let's create our boolean and our timer. So float change timer, set it to maybe 0.2 seconds. And let's add the boolean for should change. We can set it to be false when our game starts. And back in our collision, if should change is true, we will return, which means we don't execute this code below. And when we're done with this, we should say should change is true. And if we go back to our update method, which is here, below attack, I will say if should change is true, I will do the following. So we will first get the change timer minus equal time.delta time, and if change timer is less than or equal to 0, I want a few things. First thing I want to do is should change is going to be false again, and change timer is going to be set to 0.2. Okay, when we save this, we can go back into Unity now, and I think the behavior should work properly now. Let's start our game. If we watch them, they walk properly, they don't hit the wall. Everything's working great. Now we have another bug. Whoa, almost got hit there. So if you see, I have 1 health, which means I'm in melee combat, which is okay. And now if I pick this potion up, I should get an increase in maximum health, which means I would have 3 hearts, and I should get healed. But we just get 1 heart, and I'm still in melee range, which means our max health increased, but our current health just increased by 1. So let's go to our player script, where we actually do this. So what we did is, as soon as we collide, we set the current health to be equal to max health. So basically, we get the potion, we set our current health to be equal to max health, which means, in this case, we set it to 2. Then we destroyed this, and only then we increased our max health. So how to fix that? We will just, where we increase our max health, just say current health equals to max health. That should fix it. If I save and go back into Unity, if I take damage, come on, hit me. I have 1 heart. If I take the potion, I will, come on, the guardian of the potion. Okay, and now I have 3 hearts and I can again shoot. Okay, I also wanted to do particles in this lecture, but let's do them in a separate one, so it's nice and clear for you guys. So see you then. Thank you for watching. Bye. Hello and welcome back. Last time we fixed our enemy behavior and fixed some bugs we had with our potion. And now I want to add better particles. So now if we kill enemies, everything is really boring, the default Unity particles. So let's go ahead and in our sprites folder import a new asset. I'm going to import this cloud PNG. This is a sprite that we used in our particle course creation. If you've seen that, we recreated particles from The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker and many others awesome particle effects like from Grand Theft Auto, and that course is updated each week, so if you're interested, be sure to check it out. And currently I won't go into too many details on how I'm going to create this, so I'm going to create a new material. I'll call it a cloud material, and make sure the shader is set to particles, additive, and now I can choose this cloud texture and as a texture of this material. Now if I go to my prefabs where I have my sword effect and other effects, if I lock this and go to my materials, I can drop this material, this cloud material, as a material to the particle. So now this particle will have a material, which is going to be this cloud material we just made. So if I shoot my sword now, you will see we already have much better looking particle effects. But what I want to do is kind of randomize their rotation. So go ahead and scroll up. We have this 3D start rotation, randomized rotation here. We can set it to be a random between two constants. So I can say 180 and minus 180. Now if we play, we should have this particle randomized. As you can see, they fly randomly. Also, let's create these, let's add this material to all our other particles, which is really simple. We just have to unlock this sword effect. So let's go back into prefabs and find the other particle effects. Let's see, bullet particle. Let's lock the inspector and drop in our material. Okay, unlock the inspector. Let's continue. We have the blue dragon particle. Drop our material in. Also randomize the rotation. Click random between two constant numbers. Two constant numbers. Okay, we added the material. Moving on, let's blue crab particle. Lock it. Get randomized rotation between two constants. And drop our material into the particle. Let's see, we also have green crab particle. Let's make that quickly. Randomize rotation between two constants and drop in our material. And finally, I think one more is left. Orange crab particle, yes. Let's get the randomized rotation between two constants and drop in our material. Okay. Now if we play our game, we should have much better particles. This guy has a lot of health. There we go. If I can kill anything. There we go. And the game is looking much better. So we need to create boundaries so our dragon can't escape. We'll do it exactly the same as we did last time. So let's go ahead and create a new 2D object, a new sprite. Just create a placeholder sprite like this background here. I will go to my scene view, get this background, add a box collider 2D, move it up, and just resize it on the X to maybe 10. Okay, let's say 20. Okay, move it up, set its tag to be wall. I'm gonna call this boundary top, and then just disable the sprite renderer. We should also get a prefab of this, why not? So let's put it in the environment prefabs. Just an empty box collider with the wall tag. And now if our enemies walk up into the boundary, they will just be bounced back. So here we have our kind of like second stage of our game, which is optional. You can come in here to try and get the potion, so you have more health for the boss fight. And we need to create some level transitioning. I'll do that in the next lecture. So thank you for watching and see you in the next lecture.